Making headlines tonight, Windies get strong workout on the back of a Brathwaite century. Fans to return to some EPL grounds. And tennis players should take a COVID vaccine. Good evening and welcome to the major ZDK Sports Edition for Thursday, November 26, 2020. I am your presenter, Terry Laraji. And now for the details. We begin tonight bowling off with cricket. The West Indies batsmen certainly came to the party in the name of Craig Brathwaite, who produced an unbeaten 100, and Darren Bravo just missed out on his second of the tour as the West Indies compiled 353 for 3 against New Zealand A on the opening day of the second warm-up match at the John Davies Oval in Queenstown overnight. The Barbadian opener Brathwaite finished on a mammoth 183 not out at stumps, spending important time at the crease, and shared an opening stand of 111 with Johnny Campbell, who made a brisk 45 from just 62 balls. Bravo joined Brathwaite, and together they mounted a 189-run stand that put New Zealand A on the defensive. Brathwaite's 100 came up in 139 balls, during which he hit 8 fours and a 6. Bravo, who eventually fell for 93, hit 6 fours while bringing up his 50 in 90 balls. Meantime, West Indies head coach Phil Simmons insists he is not overly concerned by the struggles shown with the bowling unit to take wickets in the first practice game on the tour of New Zealand last week. For a Windies bowling unit that included top strike bowlers Kamar Roach, Shannon Gabriel and Alzari Joseph, the trio across both innings were only able to pick up 4 wickets while conceding a total of 432 runs. Simmons, however, believes the consistent threat of the bowling unit over the past several years speaks for itself.
I'm not, because I think over the years we've seen that the bowling has been our strengths, and if in these two matches, one that's gone and the one that's starting, the batsmen can get into form and get into the line that we want them to. I'm not worried about the bowlers. Bowlers always come up to task in the test matches so far for a couple of years now.
As far as the batsmen are concerned, the 57-year-old former West Indies all-rounder said it was very encouraging signs to see the cream of the West Indies top-order batting spend valuable time at the crease during the first warm-up match, but is looking for form from John Campbell and Jermaine Blackwood.
I think it's about spending time at the crease. I think the good thing about that 3-day game we played is that Bravo, Craig Brathwaite, Brooks, Chase, they all spent time at the crease. So in this one, it's about spending time at the crease. And in that game, I'm not worried about the fact that Bravo scored 100. I look at the time they spent at the crease and how they control their innings. So I think that's what I'm looking for from John and Blackwood in this 4-day game.
With both the T20 and Test squads, Simmons is working on each player, identifying their role in the team.
I don't think it's difficult to set target. I think it's a case we know where we were in Sri Lanka, and we know we want to move forward from there. And it's about continuing the role play of theirs, basically, and letting everybody know what their role is, and let's make sure that they fulfill in that role to keep us moving forward. Test-wise, it's about using this 4-day game now. After all the preparation, the guys have worked really hard, especially during quarantine when we got times to train, and using this 4-day now to just sharpen up themselves so that next week, going into the first test, everyone is as sharp as they can be.
Phil Simmons. As CWI CEO Johnny Gray put it is an exciting time for West Indies cricket due to the competitiveness.
It's getting exciting in West Indies cricket because now I think the starting 11 of any of our sides is, we've got options, and that's what we've always said. We wanted to make the job of the selectors as hard as it possibly could be by having all the players in the region available, and, they've got to balance who's in form as well as, which sort of construct of the side will suit the conditions that they're going to play in. It's a perfectly sensible and logical decision in my opinion.
Johnny Grave. Meantime, with his white ball captain, Kieron Pollard says he is in a good space and happy with what he's achieved.
I've actually been happy in what I've been able to achieve. I'm happy the fact that I got the opportunity to play around the world, different experiences, even when I was out of the international team. One thing that I did pretty well was challenge my energy in a positive direction. So even there and then, I was still happy. Yes, you thought that you wanted to still play, but I was satisfied in my mind, and even now I think I'm very, very happy and satisfied in my mind, and I think that's one of the reasons as well that helps me, go out and just perform or just enjoy, what I'm doing. Even if you score runs or you don't score any runs, it's just a matter of that feeling of stepping onto the cricket field and doing something that you love and you have really loyal people, behind you.
Kieron Pollard, the first of 3 T20 internationals against New Zealand, bowls off tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time. When West Indies play their first T20 international against New Zealand, they will do so without Andre Russell, who opted out of the tour and is in Sri Lanka, where he is competing for the Colombo Kings in the inaugural Lanka Premier League LPL. Circumstances surrounding his absence were increasingly unclear, not least after head coach Simmons said in a media briefing on Tuesday that he was unaware of Russell's whereabouts, although he was listed as playing in the opening match of the LPL today for the Colombo Kings. However, it has been reported that Russell is getting support from Cricket West Indies to compete in the LPL T20 tournament, as he was issued a no-objection certificate NOC to compete in the franchise tournament. On October 16, Russell told CWI lead selector Roger Harper that he opted not to tour New Zealand because he wanted to clear his head as he was going from one lockdown tournament to another. Reportedly, CWI CEO Johnny Grave, in a WhatsApp message on Wednesday, said he is not a contracted player and we would never stop a player from playing cricket and earning money, so we will issue his NOC later today. Russell made a quick-fire 24 today for the Colombo Kings as they tied the Kandy Tuskers score of 219 in the inaugural match of the tournament and then came out triumphant by winning the Super Over. And all members of the West Indies team in isolation tested negative for COVID-19 on their final tests at their managed isolation facility. They have now left the facility in Christchurch and travelled to Auckland as they continue preparations for the first T20 international on Friday. These include white ball captain Kieron Pollard, who will lead the team in the opening match against the Black Caps at Eden Park. Test captain Jason Holder, who was also in the quarantine in Christchurch, has now travelled to Queenstown to play in the 4-day warm-up match against New Zealand A. Meanwhile, the ICC is gauging the possibility of deferring the inaugural Under-19 Women's World Cup in Bangladesh from its originally earmarked window of January 2021 to later in the year. Though the governing body, or the Bangladesh Cricket Board BCB, has not yet made any official announcements about the postponement of the tournament, ESPN Cricinfo understands the ICC has been liaising with the BCB and closely monitoring the COVID-19 pandemic situation in Bangladesh to assess if revised dates could be accommodated in 2021 itself. And as former West Indies fast bowler Kenneth Benjamin continues to work with communities in encouraging the youths to take up the sport, he has come under scrutiny from the president of the National Olympic Committee NOC, Chet Green. Green stated on his radio program Beneath the Surface, which airs weekly on ZDK, that Benjamin is not doing his work and is ignoring selection of local players for his Liberta Cricket Club.
When Rakeem Cornwall and Kadeem Phillip threatened to leave Liberta because of you, Kenneth Benjamin, it's people like me who had to go to their homes and to their parents and so on and beg them, please, this community comes first. You can't be giving those talents honed in Liberta to other communities just like that. Does you who are chasing them, not me? Does you who are chasing the players from around the community, not me? And you talk about Paris bringing too much foreign players? Look at the companies in the Liberta cricket team now. A handful, if so many of Liberta-born players. You all are not doing the development work. You all are doing the Nescafe kind of fast food arrangement where you see talent somewhere else and you pick it and bring it and you call yourself big coach when you win a cup, when you've done no development work.
Speaking on today's Sportsline show, Green added that Benjamin is an eye specialist.
You can ask Kenneth Benjamin to identify the members of the Liberta cricket team, and the answer he gives you will tell you the extent of the work he's doing in the community. And that is part of the problem. Kenneth is an eye specialist. An eye specialist. That is why they're not members of the club anymore, because everything has to be I, Kenneth. I, Kenneth. You cannot be head of a community organization. Yes, you're the centerpiece, you're the voice, you're the ears, the eyes, you call it, but you have to have a build-out of interest in the community. Businesses in the community must be impressed and amused and enthused to be a part of. The athletes themselves must be a part. When Cottage George was president, when Lambert president, when Charlotte president, we had hundreds of members of the club. Today we're down to less than a dozen. Why doesn't Kenneth call the election of the club so the wish of the people can be expressed?
Chet Green. Refuting the minister's claims, Benjamin responded in saying that players have the right to look after their best interest.
The thing about it is that there are coaches who continue to come to Liberta. I can't stop them, and they want players to move. And so if players want to move, they want to move. I try to protect my players. The fact that there is no cricket in the Liberta primary school, because primary school cricket has been out for quite a while now, it hampers all the clubs. And if you look at all the clubs, people from all over play for all the clubs. So to be pointing out that and saying that I am not doing any work in terms of development, I don't have to defend that. I don't need to defend it. Okay, so I'm not gonna defend that.
Kenneth Benjamin. Benjamin has been at loggerheads with Green for some time now, with the Foreign Affairs Minister and MP for the St Paul's constituency accusing Benjamin of having a political agenda. Meanwhile, Sydney Thunder pulled off a remarkable 12-run win over Brisbane Heat to reach the final of the Women's Big Bash League. Chasing 144, the Heat, champions for the past 2 seasons, collapsed from 119 for 4 to 131 all out, despite Laura Kaminski's 37 off 17 balls in Sydney last night. Scores: Sydney Thunder 143 for 6, Haynes 48 not out, de Klerk 2 for 11. Brisbane Heat 131 all out off 18.3 overs, Cummins 37, Darlington 3 for 19, Johnson 2 for 14. The Thunder will now meet the Melbourne Stars in the final on Saturday. Meanwhile, 6 members of Pakistan's cricket team have tested positive for COVID-19 while on tour in New Zealand. All 6 have been moved from managed isolation into quarantine, and the team's exemption from social distancing rules for training has been suspended. In other sporting developments tonight, kicking into football, thousands of fans are paying their final respects to Argentine football legend Diego Maradona at the Presidential Palace in Buenos Aires. 3 days of national mourning have begun in Argentina after the national hero died following a heart attack on Wednesday at the age of 60. Some wept, others blew kisses and said prayers as they filed past the coffin being displayed at the Casa Rosada. 1 million people are expected to visit his casket. Meantime, Manchester City secured progress to the Champions League knockout stages with 2 games to spare, with a comfortable 1-0 victory over Olympiacos yesterday. Pep Guardiola's side required 1 point to reach the last 16, but victory on Wednesday ensures they remain firm favourites to finish top of Group C, while Atalanta scored twice in 4 minutes to deliver a surprise 2-0 victory over Liverpool and blow qualification from Group D wide open. Liverpool remain top of the group and need 1 win from their final 2 games to move into the last 16. And Premier League clubs in Liverpool and London will be able to welcome some supporters back into their stadiums after the England government announced which tiers different areas of the country will be in after the end of the second lockdown. However, a long list of Premier League clubs, including Manchester City, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Newcastle and Leicester, will be unable to have fans back in person. Meantime, Nicolas Pepe put his red card against Leeds United behind him with the opening goal against Molde as Arsenal secured their place in the last 32 of the Europa League with a 3-0 victory today, while Jamie Vardy scored a last-gasp goal amid a dramatic finale as Leicester City clinched their place in the knockout stages in an enthralling 3-all draw at Braga. Serving into tennis, Andy Murray thinks tennis players should probably be required to take a COVID-19 vaccine to be able to continue to play on the tour. World number 1 Novak Djokovic said in April he wouldn't want to be forced to take a vaccine to be able to travel. But Murray hopes players would do that for the good of the sport, providing everything has proved to be safe. The players are on a break at the moment before preparations will begin in late December for the first Grand Slam of the year, the Australian Open, scheduled for January 2021. Touching down in gridiron, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes said he is not yet at the level of global star and Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady. Mahomes and Brady will go head-to-head in a marquee matchup when NFL Super Bowl champions the Chiefs travel to Tampa to face the Buccaneers on Sunday. Mahomes has completed 254 of 374 passes for a league-best 3,035 yards, 27 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions through 10 games this season. Brady, meanwhile, struggled in Tampa Bay's 27-24 loss to the LA Rams on Monday, throwing 2 interceptions as the Bucs dropped to 7-4 for the NFL season. And finally tonight on this day in history, in 1984, the day Kim Hughes resigned the Australia captaincy in floods of tears at a news conference after West Indies pummeled Australia by 8 wickets in the second test in Brisbane. Hughes was a broken man, having won only 4 games in 28 as captain. In reality, there was no shame in losing to this lot. This was West Indies' 10th consecutive test victory. Hughes played in the next 2 tests, but made only 2 runs in 4 innings. He was only 30, but these were his last test appearances. He burned his bridges by taking a rebel side to South Africa. And that story has brought us to the end of our sporting developments for tonight. Now to recap our top story. The West Indies batsmen certainly came to the party in the name of Craig Brathwaite, who produced an unbeaten 100. Darren Bravo just missed out on his second of the tour, as the West Indies compiled 353 for 3 against New Zealand A on the opening day of the second warm-up match at the John Davies Oval in Queenstown overnight. I've been your presenter, Terry Laraji. Thank you for listening. To watch ZDK Sports Package, go to the YouTube channel of Terry Laraji, The Straight Bat, and subscribe. Stay tuned now for your Voice of America update. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Rally round the West Indies, one forever.